new film and notice it looks a lot like another well-known movie? Don't accuse the creators of plagiarism just yet. It is common practice for filmmakers to make references to other people's work. There's even a whole set of terms for this concept: homage, cameo, citing, illusion, and parody. But don't worry, this isn't some boring lecture at the Film Academy. Today, we will tell you about some Easter eggs and references in famous cartoons, and we bet you haven't heard about them until now. Share the references you missed in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel not to miss new educational videos. Let's get it on. The Predator's Mouth. Do you recognize these funny creatures? This is a cat named Gumball Watterson, and its adopted brother, Darwin the goldfish. They are the protagonists of The Amazing World of Gumball cartoon, which has been aired since 2011 on the Cartoon Network. The guys go to school together and constantly end up in difficult situations. All of this is spiced up with a British humor and adult sarcasm. The creators of the cartoon are clearly fond of all kinds of references. You can find them in almost every episode, although each one is just over 10 minutes long. Take an episode called The Pizza from Season 3. This episode alone features indirect references to Harry Potter, Star Wars, Planet of the Apes, Mad Max. And look closely. Does that seem familiar? This mouth, which appears for a second on Gumball's face, is easily recognized. In the same season, there is another episode with a reference to a famous alien. An ordinary turtle suddenly begins to see the world in infrared, just like a monster from a science fiction movie. No doubt, this is quite subtle. Favorite TV show? Over the last 10 years, few animated series have achieved such a success as Adventure. Again from the Cartoon Network channel. Most people who watch it are actually adults, and no wonder. The story takes place on a planet that has just survived a nuclear war by mutanti. By the way, the whole plot of the cartoon is one big reference to Mad Max, the plot of which is based on similar events. The creator of Clarence and We Bare Bears, the other two cartoons from the same TV network, decided to pay homage to the most successful project of Cartoon Network in the most obvious way. In both animated series, the characters simply watched different moments from Adventure Time on TV. No complicated Easter eggs or plot twists. Even the most inattentive viewers would get the references. Cartoon cosplay. If you decided that Cartoon Network just uses its cartoons to promote other cartoons, please don't just jump to conclusions. Take, for example, the hit series of this TV channel, The Powerpuff Girls, which was nominated for 6 Emmy Awards. In the episode, Imaginary Friend of the second season, we see an unexpected homage to the TV hit of the 2000s, South Park. One of the main characters, named Blossom, suddenly transforms into Eric Cartman and even says a funny phrase in his voice. You can feel the surreal vibes, and it makes it even funnier. Serious message. We'll continue to prove that cartoons are not for kids only, if only because not every adult will get the incredible number of references to world cinema in animated series. Our next cartoon is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, produced by the screenwriter of the film Invitation of the Powerpuff Girls. In one of his episodes, we can see an obvious reference to Jeffrey Lebowski. Those who haven't watched the movie The Big Lebowski may not get it, but fans of the movie will definitely recognize their favorite character right away. By the way, the Powerpuff Girls also featured a reference to this movie. First, we see a scene with an elderly man sitting in complete darkness near a fireplace. It's almost identical to the movie. And a little later, a funny ransom note, just like from the cult comedy of the Coen brothers. This is what happens when cartoons are made by the real fans of modern cinema. Greetings from villains. Cartoon Network airs Teen Titans Go, a very funny animated series about aspiring superheroes. The series is a collaboration with DC Comics. It'd be naive to believe that such an interesting collaboration wouldn't affect the visual components of the series. Of course, there are a lot of references here, primarily to the Batman saga. Take, for example, this scene from the episode The Ultimate Batarang. The name alone hints it to the superhero saga from DC, but we're talking about the bat-shaped throwing weapon used by Batman. And in this particular scene, we can see 6 items, each of which reminds of the hero from the cult comics. Here's a Scarface puppet that first appears in the Bruce Wayne story back in the late 80s. The plate nearby is clearly connected with a character named the Riddler. A little below, you can see a chest with the inscription Hush bandages, which apparently belong to Hush, one of Batman's foes. Then, you can spot a container with a face cream developed by the villain Roland Daggett. The cream, by the way, also appears in the Catwoman franchise. A little higher, there's an urn with Robin's ashes and a crowbar with which the Joker finished him off. And also the head of the insidious Mr. Freeze. But there are more innocent references in the show, like the scene where the Teen Titans make milk mustaches, and Robin's mustache looks like Mario. Great actor. Some scenes from the third part of Despicable Me saga hint to the movies the director loved in childhood, as well as many of his peers. The thing is that the creators of the cartoon made several references to the main roles in the career of Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, and Han Solo. First, we see how Gru is dragging a valuable artifact from the museum, just like an archaeologist from the world-famous saga. And a little later, the minions freeze the main antagonist Dr. Nefario in carbonite. We already know a similar scene from the 5th episode of Star Wars, where this happened to the best friend of Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia. Fatal collision. The third part of the saga, about Shiru and his army of minions, turned out to be full of interesting references, but probably not all viewers noticed this one. Do you remember the moment where Gru is about to infiltrate Balthazar Brett's ship to steal the largest diamond on the planet? The main character and his team of minions reach their destination on an incredible device resembling a high-speed torpedo. At this moment, the minions sail past a couple of clownfish. Can you already guess who we're talking about? This is clearly a reference to Nemo and his father, Marlin. The latter didn't survive in the alternative universe of the Minions. What did the poor clownfish ever do to the screenwriters to deserve this? Detective costumes, perhaps only the most devoted fans of comics got this reference in Despicable Me 3. Take a close look at the scene where Gru and Dane, his twin brother, Drew, are riding on a speedboat. Do their funny-looking wetsuits seem familiar? Well, if not, then this reference is indeed very difficult to get. In fact, the authors were clearly alluding to the Spy vs. Spy comic series. The story was published back in the 60s and was black and white. So the different colors of Rod, the main characters, are quite logical. Lost stuff, believe us. You have no idea how closely the universes of some cartoons are connected. They don't even have to be produced by the same company. Take Rick and Morty in Gravity Falls, for example. The first was created by the Cartoon Network, and the second is owned by the Disney Channel. But this didn't prevent the creators from drawing parallels between them. Well, there's at least one clear similarity. In the 10th episode of the first season of Rick and Morty, we can see 7 portals to other dimensions. Those who are especially attentive will notice that at some point, 3 objects fall out of the second portal, a pen, a notebook, and a coffee mug with a question mark. Guess what? These things belong to Stan pines. And it's no coincidence that Uncle Stan loses these exact same 3 objects to a similar portal in Season 2, Episode 7 of Gravity Falls. The reason for this reference is simple. The creators of both series turned out to be really good friends. Love triangle. In 2001, when the first Shrek movie was released, the whole world literally fell in love with the Green Ogre with a kind heart. Moreover, it seems that there were just as many adult fans. But why did people like the movie so much? The main reason is humor, including rather dark jokes. Yeah, and here's one example of the subtle irony from the creators of Shrek. Ida and Vei. In the second part of the saga, we see Fiona with her lover in bed. The ogre girl is sleeping, and the main character suffers from insomnia and stares jealously at the poster in the princess's room. It depicts Justin Timberlake with a caption, Sir Justin. What's the catch here? Though, the thing is, Fiona was voiced by Cameron Diaz, who at that time was in a romantic relationship with the star of the world pop scene. High tech. The Angry Birds game was one of the first games that came out in the Apple Store for the iPhone and other devices of the company back in 2009. Back then, all owners of Apple products probably had this app. Today, it's no longer so popular. But 4 years ago, a film based on the story was released, and the writers left obvious Easter eggs to pay tribute to the creation of Steve Jobs. Perhaps one of the funniest is the moment where one of the heroes puts an apple to his ear, as if it were an ordinary smartphone. Mutant costume. In 2006, the flushed away animated movie was released, telling the story about the life of a rat aristocrat from London. By the way, quite a lot of celebrities were involved in it. The main characters were voiced by Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman. The creators decided to put a visual reference to the latter into one of the scenes. We can see it when the main character tries on different costumes, and one of them is clearly inspired by Wolverine. It's funny that Jackman himself never wore this costume in public, although he once told fans that he would do it on the eve of Halloween. By the way, the creators of Flushed Away left an homage to Kate Winslet too. When the boat with the main character's love interest Rita begins to sink, we can see this scene recreates the fate of the Titanic from the film that brought Winslet world fame. Veterans of the animated series, the animators of the Nickelodeon studio decided to add popular characters from their earlier cartoons in one of the episodes of the Loud House series. The funny thing is that the creators decided to give a cameo in the pool scene only to elderly characters. Sounds familiar, right? You can see the elderly Firebender Iroh from Avatar: Last Bender, Lou Pickles from Rugrats, Miss Fowl from Jimmy Neutron, Ios, Grandpa Phil from Hey Arnold, and Miss Bitters from Invader Zim. Though not easy to recognize them in a fresh look. Home Sweet Home. In the second part of the Madagascar saga, the heroes get into a plane crash and find themselves on an unfamiliar continent. But this plot twist turns out to be fateful. After all, Alex, the lion, finally meets his parents, whom he has never seen since they have been separated in childhood. There's no doubt the two are related when they compare identical birthmarks on their paws. Did you notice what they look like?
Thank you for watching till the end. I hope you liked it. Subscribing really helps this channel grow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and share the love by sending this video to someone.